Hello and welcome to the T3 Handicapping channel here on YouTube. I am Chris from T3 Handicapping, and I'm here to take you through the lightning round of the Gulfstream Park card on 12/23. That's Thursday's card from Gulfstream Park. Before we jump into our lightning round here real quick, take a look at a couple of things. First of all, if you want to get access to those picks, go ahead and go to t3handicapping.weebly.com. You can get access to all of our picks. You can see a full list of our past performances, how we've done at various tracks, things like that there. You do get your first day in the members portal for free, so just sign up for the one-day pass. You can get in there. You can try some things out, get to know things a little bit. There's betting guides for you as well on our website. And then once you have gone through your first day trial, then you can go ahead and sign up for a month. $10 gets you 30 days of access to any track that we do. So once you have access, you can get access to any track that we do. It's not track specific. You can find us, as always, right here on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, T3 Handicapping, Horse Racing, and on Twitter at Handicapping T3. So lots of different ways to find us and get access to our picks. YouTube we use for videos like this to break down some cards, maybe some carryover pools. Facebook we use our page to produce a lot of content that is exclusive to the followers there. So make sure you do that. And then Twitter is more kind of real-time things when it comes to handicapping. So lots of different ways to get involved with T3 Handicapping. And whether you're a new user or a returning user, I just want to say thank you for your continued support of our product. I really appreciate it. With that, we are going to be jumping forward here and taking a look at Gulfstream Park's card for Thursday. Thursday's tracks will include both Tampa Bay as well as Gulfstream Park. As I mentioned at the top, this is going to be a rapid-fire lightning round, so we're going to move through things pretty quickly. I haven't done a lot with Gulfstream Park lately. I've really stayed away. I've been playing predominantly dirt tracks like Mahoning and Aqueduct. So coming back into it, it's going to be a little bit of a recalibration period. I did go back and I looked, and pretty much every surface speed figures were the key. The one difference would have been the Tapeta surface, but with the Tapeta, it's a little bit different anyway, and there's not as many Tapeta races on the Thursday card as there were on the Wednesday card, which was predominantly Tapeta. So we're just going to go through here. We're just going to kind of give our quick thoughts on all of this stuff. The first race is a class level 27, so low-level horses. We're going fast, and then remember, if you're using the Gulfstream product, that the uppercase T stands for Tapeta, the lowercase t stands for inner turf course. This race projects to have a moderate pace on, and front-running styles should win. If I'm playing this one in the verticals, honestly, I'm going to be using the 3 and the 8 as kind of my main players here. Outside of that, everybody else is just kind of noise to me in this race. I'm not really sure what to make of Go Geisha Go. We just don't have a lot of numbers on that one. But I will say that the other horses that I do want to make sure that I have some coverage with, I like the 5 a little bit, topping out in rating. And I do think that the 6 is interesting as well. But I'm going to be primarily through 3 and 8 as my top selections in race number 1 on the Tapeta. I like having a versatile type as well as a closer. If things don't progress on the front end, I've got Designed to Dazzle, who may just be able to take the field all the way around. Moving on to race number 2 from Gulfstream's 10-race card on Thursday, class level 19, 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. This is a situation where you're going to want speed. That tends to always be helpful. I see that the 3 and the 6 look like they're going to be the best of the pace. I've got the 6 at 2-1 and the 3 at 9-2. I'm perfectly fine with those. I do think that Lyrical is a little bit interesting. I'm not in love with the stamina number as a top number on the dirt, but nevertheless, I think the horse is going to be in the mix. And so I would probably use Lyrical as well as I'm going through here. I do think You're the Best is an interesting player. Madame Barrister has that class advantage, but speed figures are well below those in here. I think 365 is what you need. The other ones could win, but I'm inclined to just stick with those three. Race number three, class level 10. So we've got some more solid runners here, and we're going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I actually really like Ubiquitous here. I think Ubiquitous has a great shot at 3-1 to pull the minor upset on the three horse. I do think the three though is also worthy of inclusion, especially on that A line. And as you're looking to play some of those horizontal wagers, I think you need to have the three in there. I would say that Algonquin is another one with the top rating here. That rating number tends to be pretty solid on the dirt surface. I'm not 100% sure about the early pace. It's quite a bit removed from Ghostliner, but we can see here that we've got a pretty good run into things as we go into it. So that's where I'm going to go. I would also have a little bit of interest here in Eighth and Broadway as well. Got a good record at the distance, at least hitting the board, as well as the top form number for us. So that's kind of where I'd land, but no more than four deep there either. Now, this is a race. We're going on the Tapeta here, and because of that Tapeta, we've got a lot of unknowns, and so at this point, you kind of have to make a decision as to what you want to do with things. Now, in terms of the horses that we do know, I actually kind of prefer the one to the five. So if I were putting this together, I would use the one as my top selection. After that, you're going to have to figure out who you like. I would say that of the ones that are remaining, I like personally uh, Fire and Spice. That would be my top selection. Now, I think you do have to respect the connections on the four, and that's why that one is lower on the odds board. But to me, when I'm just looking at like the ability rating and sort of what the breeding might be signaling to me, I like the three over any of these other first time starters. Nevertheless, I do think the four has a chance. And I also think you would want to then have the five as well. In reality, I think this is probably going to be a race won by a horse with experience. We are on the Tapeta. The two experienced horses are front running types, but I'm hoping that the foundation that they've established with their with their previous starts is going to be enough to allow them to be more versatile, whereas some of the first time starters just won't have that opportunity. Moving on to race number five, we're hitting smack dab in the middle of the card here. Class level 10, going 8 furlongs. Here you can see the I to designate the inner turf course. That will be our designation here is the I. So on the turf, we know that it's tight turns. There's going to be speed that's going to be required. And that's why I actually like Kissing Frogs here to pull the upset. I just think this one's going to be in a good spot early and should get a decent race flow. I do think that Whimsical Muse also does make sense. I hate to use so many favorites, and especially this time of the meet, it feels like you can really get some nice prices. But in this case, I just feel like that one does make a lot of sense. After that, I'm looking at, I don't know about Josefa. I know that that horse comes out as my top race flow horse. I'm just not 100% sure that this is the right situation for that horse to really get the job done. I do, however, want to make sure that I have the 7, My Sweet Wife, on there. And I would probably say that the other one that interests me the most is maybe this 2, Maribel Mai, who comes in as the top form horse, but also with some decent class. So I'm going to use those ones, and that's probably how I try and get out of that fifth race. Race number 6, we come back into a situation where we're dealing with a lot of lightly raced horses. And I think you always have to tread lightly in these. If you're a data handicapper like I am, these races are ones you just have to recognize right away that you have a distinct disadvantage in because I don't do a ton of digging into. I have a little bit when it comes to pedigree and things like that, but my primary form of handicapping just isn't going to be as successful in situations where I don't have as much data. For that reason, I recognize where my blind spot is. And so I'm going to kind of really go deep here. And I'm going to take the 7 because we've got experience and plenty to like there. We've got the 2, who also has experience and I think is worthy of a look there. I don't love the closing from the dirt surface, especially at 6 furlongs. But sometimes it's hard to know if in those previous starts if that really matters all that much. I would also here use the 6, and outside of that, I mean, the 4 is interesting, I guess, but now I'm kinda getting down here, so I'd probably put 4, 10. I also kinda like the 3 as a potential here, so I might put those down on that line and go from there. So, this one is one for me as a data handicapper that I'm gonna have to go deep in just because, like I said, when you have a lack of data and that's your primary source, you need to know where your blind spots are, and this is one of them. So, I'm gonna try and just cover as much as I can and survive there. Race number 7, class level 8, setting up to be a slow pace. We see that up here. And as I'm looking for who I like, I'm looking for horses that are going to be good in speed figures, good in early pace. And that leads me to the 6 and the 2. Now, what I like about that is that keeps me away from the favorite. And this is actually a spot where I think the favorite is fairly beatable. Now, I know that the favorite can be somewhat close in pace and comes home with a really good race flow, but the 5 and the 6 project to get the same race flow in the race, but will also be more forwardly placed, and we're on Gulfstream dirt. So I'm going to take the 2 and the 6 as my top selections, and I will also use the 5 on the B line as well. I'm going to leave Dreaming of Jerry out because I think that's a chance for me to get some separation. It's really as simple as that. It's not that I don't think the horse has no chance here. I think the horse is definitely a possibility to make the winner's circle, but as my fourth selection and at less than 2 to 1, it's just not something that's of interest to me. Moving on to race number 8, we're back on the Tapeta, class level 16, going 5 furlongs. And this one, to me, the one looks strong. Lara's Lady. Now, Lara's Lady is going to get my top selection here, and you can see is well clear of the rest of them. Princess Cupid is actually my lowest rated horse, despite being the number one horse in terms of record at the distance. 100% of the time has finished in the money. A lot of this has to do with the fact that many of these horses have just converted over to Tapeta for the first time. I struggle with it because, on the one hand, it's a very unique surface. And I think that there are a lot of horses that we've seen at Gulfstream that run really well on other surfaces that kind of just spin their wheels a little bit on the Tapeta. Inversely, we also don't have a ton of data to really solidify the idea that just because the horse has run well on Tapeta once means that it's going to be good on Tapeta every time. So I'm going to go in some different directions here. I'm going to use the 1 on the A line, and I'm actually kind of pretty singled into that 1. I like the way that one looks. I'm going to keep that, and then I'm going to go with 3, 4, 7, and I would probably then also want to use the 6 on sort of my B line. But most of my bankroll for this race would go through the 1. I like that it's going to be on the front end. I know on the Tapeta that hasn't always helped. I know that this looks like it's going to be a hot pace, but the reality is we're going 5 furlongs here. So this can be a quick one. We're not talking about a trip all the way around. Let's just get to the front and let's see if we can win. I've got the fastest horse. I think it's the fastest horse by a lot. And if you get a chance to get even a slight breather at 5 furlongs, you should be able to take it all the way home. Race number 9, the penultimate race here. We've got a class level 8 going 5 furlongs on the inner turf. So this is going to be a really, really tight one. And here we've got a couple of things that I look for. The speed figures are always important to me. I have this horse running a 110 speed as its best speed in relevant races. So for that, I'm going to be giving the 6 an A grade. But I do also want to make sure that I'm using Stronger Than You Know. I think this one's going to get an absolutely perfect setup. And at 8 to 1, I like having on the A line. I think it provides me plenty of value there. My B horses that I have are, I've got a few of them. I definitely like High Speed Steph here. Does have the record at the distance on the turf. 75% of the time is finished in the money, which is good to see. I think you have to respect that, especially at this low class level. A lot of times you have horses that have really solidified themselves on a surface, and that one appears to be one of the stronger ones there. So I will use that one. The other thing that I like as I'm looking through this is I've got number 10, Zia's Song, and Igloo, who are both kind of falling into these close but not quite categories. So I would probably use the 1, 2, and 10. I know the 3 is coming in the best form. but doesn't look like it's going to get a very good race flow to be successful here. I'm just not feeling confident in that one to get the job done. And then I've got the 8 has the strongest connections, Mamba Mamba. A little bit nervous that this horse doesn't have a lot known about it. Still pretty lightly raced, and the ability rating is solid. But it does fall pretty down on my aggregate list. I might put that one in just to kind of cover myself there. I'm not really concerned about Runaway Rocket, who finishes last in my board, especially at 6 to 1. At 30 to 1, I might be more inclined. We saw that at Mahoning Valley. I had a rating horse that won at 34 to 1 on Wednesday. So it kind of is price dependent on that for me. If I've got a horse that sits down there that is rated first in a category but is last on my board, and the horse is going off at 30 to 1, I might take a stab. If they're going off at 5 to 1, to me, it's not worth it. And I think that's a big part of handicapping, is not just taking these picks and using them, but understanding where you think there's value, what you think is fair value, and taking advantage of that when the opportunity presents itself. In this race here, race 10, class level 25, so don't be surprised if something crazy happens. It's also 8 furlongs on the Tapeta, so you can throw your past performances out the window and just hope for the best. I'm going to go for a couple here. I've really struggled at times getting a true handle on the Tapeta, but I do feel like the 1 and 7 have this race locked up. I would also make sure that I'm using the 4 Vintage Girl, who looks to sit sort of a mid-pack trip and I think can be dangerous no matter how they run. Gossiping is another one that I'm interested in as well, and Cindy's Song. Outside of that, I don't really need the bottom 3. I'm struggling with Ice Love. Ice Love is the favorite here. Based on my numbers, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, like I said, the Tapeta surface has not necessarily been a strong suit of mine. I've definitely been more successful on the dirt heavy cards, but I just try and not use a horse just because of the odds. And in this case, it's one that doesn't make sense on paper to me. I know there's a lot of unknowns, but to me, I don't see it. Right? I know you can make a case for any horse on any day. To me, 2 to 5 on this one, 5 to 2 is just or sorry, 5 to 2, 2.5 to 1 is just ridiculous. I don't get it, so I'm not using. I'll go 1, 7, 4, 5, 8, and that's how I see the Gulfstream card on Thursday, December 23rd. So once again, if you want to get access to these sheets, you can do so by signing up for our members portal. In there, you'll be able to get these, and they will be updated after scratches. We'll reevaluate the entire card when scratches come out. It will re-handicap all the races for surface changes based on scratches, how that will impact the pace scenario, etc. And it will give you more up-to-date numbers. So if you want access to that, please go ahead and log into our portal, get access to that, and you will get access to not only Gulfstream Park for Thursday, but also for Tampa Bay Downs. We will have Gulfstream and Tampa again on Friday. Saturday is a dark day. And then we hit the ground running on Sunday. Santa Anita comes back online, and all of the tracks start coming off of their holiday hiatus. And so things will start to pick up really quickly. If you do start your membership on the 26th, I believe, if I remember correctly, that your monthly membership, $10, would not only get you opening day at Santa Anita, but I believe it would also take you all the way up through the Pegasus World Cup as well. So a great value there, $10 for racing from Santa Anita opening day to Pegasus World Cup and everything in between. That's pretty good bang for your buck. So we encourage you to do that. If you haven't already done so, like and subscribe here to the channel. We really appreciate that. Join us on Facebook. Join us on Twitter. And most importantly, cash those tickets tomorrow at Gulfstream in Tampa Bay. Good luck.